welcome to the Rest is Football with Alan Shearer and me, Gary Lineker. Mike is on his travels from the Champions League final that was held, of course, we're recording this on Sunday, which was held Saturday night. And Alan, I had Harry's wedding, which went swimmingly well. He had an amazing speech and the bride looked amazing. It was a beautiful day and the sun was shining and it was great. So I watched the game, or quite a lot of it this morning. What a performance from PSG.
How's your head? Are you a bit fuzzy?
I'm a bit fuzzy and a little bit jaded, yes, as you would expect.
I reckon that's the excuse that Mike has got as well. He's not on a train, he's hungover, so he's feeling rotten somewhere.
Well, you obviously watched it live, Alan. We all thought it might be a tight final, but it was anything but, wasn't it?
Basically, from start to finish, there wasn't 1 point ever in that game where I thought Inter Milan were gonna win it. I mean, PSG just went at them from the start. They got the early goal, and they just never recovered. And it was as big as a performance, as big as a doing over, I think is the correct word, as I've seen for a long, long time in a final. I mean, they were just they were sensational, and if you're ever going to show any kids the perfect performance as a youngster, this is how we want it to be done. This is how we want you to play. This is the energy that we want. This is the skill set. This is the mentality. Then that is the perfect performance to show any kid growing up thinking, this is how we want to play.
When you say doing over, was that a deliberate pun, Alan? Doué? Doué scored Doué, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. Doué ran riot. Not only did he score and assist, I mean, it was brilliant, as were every single one of the PSG players. I mean, even the keeper had one impressive save to make, and he made it. Other than that, he didn't have a lot to do. So it was every player was a 10 out of 10. They had the energy, they had the drive, every single player was rotating around, and I've seen Inter a few times this season. I've seen PSG a few times this season. And obviously we all thought it was going to be a really tight game. And I actually thought Inter Milan might actually win it. But they were never, ever at the races. They weren't allowed to be at the races because PSG just dominated in every position. They couldn't handle their movement, couldn't handle their pace, couldn't handle their skill, their energy, all of those things.
Yeah, I predicted PSG. I think I went 2-0. I just forgot the final few words, which was that would be the score at half time. Let's talk about one or two of the goals and the counterattacks when winning back in their own box. And then just breaking away. It was quite stunning, wasn't it? Enormous credit has to go to Luis Enrique, and it will. And wasn't it beautiful at the end when they had the big flag? What do they call it? Tifosi, it was put up in the crowd, obviously talking about his daughter that lost his life, and redoing that flag when she was on the pitch when he won Champions League before with Barcelona. It's a sad but a beautiful story.
Yeah, absolutely. And someone in the crowd gave him a T-shirt pretty soon after the final whistle to put on as well. So he took his T-shirt off that he had on and put this one on. That was another drawing very similar to the one on the flag that the PSG fans were holding aloft in their stand. So it was a very emotional moment, and I guess for him. But yeah, it was. He said he didn't need football to remind him of his beautiful daughter because he has that every single day. But I think it must have been very, very special, because of that flag, because of the T-shirt he's wearing, and also because of the performance. And he can be very, very proud of everything he's done in his life. And he's won the treble now at Barcelona and at PSG. And for the first time, that was the trophy they've been chasing all since what's happened to them, the takeover and everything else. God knows how much they spent. What have they gone through? 8 or 9 managers, something, maybe more. But that's the trophy that they wanted, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he's delivered it. I mean, he's clearly an absolutely elite coach. One of the best. He was brilliant at Barcelona, and he's done it here. He's done it for PSG as well. And I mean, tactically, he's obviously incredibly switched on. He's got that team to buy into something, and it shows, doesn't it, really, that it's a reminder that football is a team game. However, you can have great individuals, and obviously, if they fit into a system, they still work. But with PSG particularly, obviously in recent years they've had Neymar, they've had Messi, and most obviously Mbappé for quite a long time. And once they're all gone, perhaps you don't have to work out a way of playing to accommodate a certain player, and the whole team functions as one. So to do that, particularly the season after Mbappé left for Real Madrid, and a reminder that Mbappé has scored a lot of goals for Real Madrid this season, but they've ended up trophyless. So I think the turnaround, you talked many times this season, haven't you, Alan, about you watched PSG in those first few games in the Champions League, and they didn't. You wouldn't have tipped them. You wouldn't have tipped them in a million years at that point, would you?
No. Do you know what Luis Enrique has got back? He's, as a coach or as a manager, he's got his power back. Yeah. Because he didn't have that. He had to play those players, whether they were playing well, whether he'd fallen out with them, whatever. He had to pick those players through no fault of his own. Even perhaps when he didn't want to, he didn't have a choice. He had to pick those players. Yeah. Yet, what happened this season is when they went to Arsenal, early, was it end of September, maybe mid-September, early in the Champions League campaign, he actually left Dembele out for disciplinary reasons. He couldn't have done that with those other players that you have mentioned. So as a manager, you have to have power. You have to have that bit of fear factor, and I think because of the age of what the players that he's now, or they recruited, because of the hunger and everything else, he's able to put his foot down and say, if you're not going to toe the line, you're out. And he couldn't have done that with those three players. And that's why they are now a team. Yeah. And that's why they perhaps maybe started poorly in the Champions League, because I think they only had maybe 3 points, something like that, after 5 games, maybe only 3 goals as well. So they were beaten at Arsenal. I remember it, and comprehensively beaten. Where Arsenal, they just couldn't cope with Arsenal. Arsenal were much the better team. But ever since that Man City game, when they went behind against Man City, ever since that game, they sort of turned a corner, and they've been breathtakingly brilliant in some games. I mean, to beat Villa, to beat Arsenal, to beat Liverpool, and to beat Inter Milan in the way they did last night was very, very impressive. But you're absolutely right. Is the key that there are now is that they are a team, and they run around together, they fight together. And it doesn't matter whether you see Hakimi in the centre forward position, even though he's a right back, because someone will fill in for him. I mean, he scored quarter-final, he scored semi-final, he scored in the final. And they've got the freedom to go and play and pass and do whatever they want to do, and go into different positions, so long as someone else sort of covers for them. And I mean, they did literally run Inter Milan ragged last night.
The incredible energy. I mean, that first goal sort of summed it up, didn't it? Brilliant bit of football. And then arriving in the box like you or I would expect to do for a tap-in. It was a brilliant bit of football. Let's take a quick break, and we'll delve into it a little bit deeper when we come back. Welcome back to The Rest is Football with Alan Shearer and me, Gary Lineker, discussing the Champions League final and an amazing triumph for PSG. It is funny this season, isn't it? The teams that haven't won for ages or have never won certain competitions, PSG obviously now completing that set, not set in world football, but certainly from our perspective. Yeah. Crystal Palace, the FA Cup, Newcastle, let's give them a mention, the Caramel Cup, Tottenham as well after 17 years, and now PSG doing this one. It was great. And a little shout out actually. A French friend of mine, I'll give him a mention, Briac, who's big lover of obviously French football. He's actually a Stade Rennes fan, which is, I think Doué was there before he went to PSG. He was saying we should mention Luis Campos, who's he won Ligue 1 at Monaco and Lille, the only titles that Paris didn't win. And now he's the director of football, I should say, with those clubs. And now he's with Paris. And I believe that he's been linked a bit with possibly Manchester United. He's the guy that's brought a lot of these players in. And so there's a shout out to him.
Do you know what it is, Gary? They haven't got a weakness. There's no weakness in that team. If you go right throughout the team, in every position, they've got their back four is as good as any. 2 fullbacks, best in the world. 2 centre halves, Marquinhos and Pacho. I mean, the 3 in midfield, they're as good as they are in terms of what they do. The 3 up top. I mean, Dembele is transformed into this incredible player. Always had the ability. And then Doué and Kvaratskhelia. You've got Barcola coming on. You've got young boy, 18 or 19-year-old who came on and scored as a substitute. What
a moment for him.
What a moment. They've got the goalkeeper, not many better than him. So there isn't a weakness in their side, you know. And I kept on hearing it in terms of how they could now go on and dominate European football over the next few years. And there's a real possibility that could happen because a lot of their players, I think there's only Marquinhos who's maybe 30, 31. Other than that, they're all either early 20s or mid-20s. So the best is yet to come if they can keep them all together.
Yeah. Well, if the best wasn't last night, crikey, I
know.
I mean, what a performance, 5-0. Some beautiful goals in there as well. I know the second one was a deflection, but Doué's first goal, but the breakaways and the counters and the back heels, and I mean it was a thing of beauty. I mean, to be honest, the last time I saw probably as an impressive performance as that in a final of the Champions League, and I might miss someone out here, but was Luis Enrique's Barcelona victory. When it was Juventus 3-1, I think it was in Berlin. I remember being there thinking, and it was just glorious the football that they played.
Yeah, I couldn't argue with that. I mean, a number of times. I mean, the way Inter Milan got to the final, in the way they beat Barcelona and hung in there and somehow found a way to get there. But yet, PSG have made a good side in Inter Milan look very, very average. In fact, look very, very poor actually. Which of course they're not. They made them look an aging side. They made them look tired. They just had too much pace for them and too much energy and everything else. They just couldn't cope with them. They really couldn't. And it was as dominant and as impressive performance as I've seen in a final for a long, long time.
Yeah, imagine being a PSG fan and sitting in the stadium, because you know what it's like. It's always, there's loads of anxiety, isn't there? Nerves and stuff. And there probably wasn't a moment in the game where they thought, I mean, fans always, you fear the worst, but I think you're sitting there watching that game and it's like anxiety-free night. You 2-0 up at half-time, you then get a third, and then you're enjoying it, and then you 4-5. I mean, 5-0 in a final.
I was texting you boys, wasn't I, saying if, and it was a big if, because there was no real sign of it. I was saying if Inter Milan get the next one, then it's game on, but they never, ever looked like getting the next goal. And once PSG got that third one, honestly, it was a matter of how many they were going to get, and they missed a few big chances after that as well. Yeah. I mean, it could have been a lot more than 5.
I love watching Kvaratskhelia.
There was a time late on in the game, after he'd scored it, maybe 5 or 10 minutes after that, Inter Milan I think they were 4-0 up, PSG, and he had to track back. He literally ran 60 or 70 yards at full pace, tracking their winger or fullback who was attacking. It was just incredible. And he got a huge roar from the PSG fans because they were coasting at the time. They were battering Inter Milan, yet he's running 50 or 60 yards to track back. And I think that sort of epitomised everything good about PSG and who and what they are now, because that wouldn't have happened years ago. No chance.
We have to come to the inevitable question these days about the Ballon d'Or, and it's obviously hugely influenced generally about the side that wins the Champions League final. But in some ways, because of the nature of PSG's teamwork, it doesn't come down to one individual. I mean, you could give it probably quite a few of their particular players. But I suppose Dembele will be favourite. He had a couple of really good moments. Didn't get his goal last night.
Yeah.
But he did have some, obviously he was very involved in some of the goals, one assist and kind of, what do they call it now? Pre-assists or something. There's one or two of those as well. So I think he'll probably be favourite now. I mean, Donnarumma as a goalkeeper might have a slight chance, but goalkeepers.
Yeah, I would guess that Dembele, even though he didn't get his goal, I guess that he'd be probably favourite for it, wouldn't he?
Yeah. Or even Hakimi.
There's a few in that. I was just about to say Hakimi. There's a few in that team that could be a shout for it.
Yeah, the two fullbacks are absolutely fabulous, aren't they? I mean, gee whiz. I mean, you said the best fullbacks I suppose as a combination, you're probably in world football at the moment.
And the way that PSG play, we've got the freedom to go forward. I mean, you just look at Hakimi's record in the quarter, semi and final in scoring. I mean, that sort of tells you. Yeah, they're as good as they are in world football at what they do. And then they've got the two centre-halves who are as reliable as they come. So, yeah, they are an exceptional team. I mean, whoever they recruit this summer, if they do, I mean, I would imagine they're going to get at least one or two in. I mean, in 2 weeks' time, they're off playing in this Club World Cup again, aren't they? So it is remarkable. So I guess they are going to recruit and they will get in, but they are going to have to be exceptional talent, exceptional players to get into that first 11.
That's so true. I'm looking forward to this Club World Cup and see if it takes off. We'll obviously cover it on here. It gives us something in the summer to enjoy in football, because summers without football are always they tend to drag on. I think we always think, no, we are nice little break from football, but then after about 10 days, 2 weeks, you think, when they call up some football. So, and PSG will go into that tournament probably favourites.
I'm really, really interested I know they'll want to win it, Man City and Chelsea, but I'm really interested to see their approach, to see how they sort of go into it. I know they're getting a fortune, and they will get a fortune if they go on and win it. But I'm fascinated to see their approach to it, both City and Chelsea.
Yeah, because I suppose the season follows not long after that. There's not going to get much of a break, the players. Real Madrid obviously going to go strong because they've done that deal, haven't they, with Liverpool to enable them to have Trent Alexander-Arnold. It's 10 million to them so that they can have him early for that tournament. So they'll want to take that seriously. I think they will. I mean, you know what football's like. Once you get going in a tournament, you're competitive.
What about the players at internationals, though? They're going to be playing for England in the next 10 days or so, and then they're straight off to play in this Club World Cup. I mean, it is just relentless, isn't it, for the top players? It's incredible.
It's always like 10, 11 months of the year. Now it's almost 12 months of the year. So, I mean, they are getting bigger squads, aren't they?
They are getting bigger squads. And, I mean, I was always the one that, too much football for a player, but now you do have to take a step back and think, what on earth is going on, I get that finances, and they have to be because of the PSR rules and all of that, which obviously we don't agree with. But come on, there has to be a cut-off point where you say for players, we're actually rinsing the players here, and that's what's happening.
Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, let's call it a day there. That's it for this episode of The Rest is Football. Congratulations to PSG on your first ever Champions League triumph. Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.